So a while ago I made a video on the Giant Anthem Advanced SX, a test ride I went on, and I said I loved it. So this week somebody asked me how the bike was working out for me, and I've had some issues. The first issue was I ordered it and it took maybe 3 months to get. I had put all of my other bikes up for sale. Before I got this, I sold every single one of them. So I was kind of stuck without a bike. What I ended up doing, I ordered the aluminum version of the same bike. So the aluminum version is a little different than the carbon version. It has a 2x10 drivetrain, the aluminum frame, RockShox instead of RockShox. The weight of this bike, without anything on it, not even pedals, was 28 pounds, 5 ounces. With the pedals, it was 29 pounds, 5 ounces. Now, I had issues. Every time I was climbing a hill with this bike, I was very wobbly. I couldn't figure out what was going on, but I figured out finally that the front end was very light. I also felt like I was in the back seat. I felt like I was back here when I should be more up here. So I tried several things. I tried lowering the stem on the head tube to the lowest position, and that didn't help. I then inverted the stem over so that it wasn't pointing upright, it was pointing downward, and that helped with the handling quite a bit climbing, but I felt like I had a lot of weight on my arm. I went back and looked at the video I had made on that bike, and on that video that I did, I noticed that the demo bike had this seat slammed all the way forward on the rails. The Giant Anthem SX has a 120mm fork instead of a 100mm fork, and I believe everything else is the same. What they've essentially done is elevate the front end by 10mm, which you wouldn't think would make a huge difference, but I think when you have a perfectly balanced bike and then you elevate the front end by 10mm, you've thrown things off such that it makes sense that you would have to slide the seat forward to get your feet back in the same position they were if the bike was a little bit lower in the front end. Anyway, that was the big thing with this bike. Other than that, everything's been perfect, and I like this bike a lot. Now on to the more expensive one. The only difference between the two, this one is a carbon frame, has a 1x11 drivetrain instead of a 2x10. I have my own seat on here. I have it slammed all the way forward. The trails have been wicked icy, so I have not been able to ride this bike but a couple times. And I've had issues. And one of the issues was when I would backpedal, like say you were about to get on your bike and you needed your pedal rotated around to this position so that you could start and push. If the pedal was here and I rotated it around to here, the chain would fall off a couple gears over there. So my bike shop, Berkshire Bike and Board, which is an excellent shop by the way, replaced my chain, and it didn't help. They next called SRAM, and SRAM sent a brand new cassette. So now I have a cassette that has fixed the problem, and I can backpedal all I want and nothing goes wrong. So that was one issue. The other issue is the RockShox Debonair shock. I'm pretty heavy. I am probably like 240, and probably with all my gear, my 45 North shoes, all my clothing, I'm probably up to 250 sitting on the bike. So this rear shock was a RockShox Debonair, and if I put 350 pounds of pressure in it, I would have about 35% sag, which was just way too much. So Berkshire Bike and Board called RockShox, and RockShox sent a replacement cartridge, unfortunately with no decals. But this cartridge is smaller, less air volume, and it holds my weight better, but it's still not perfect. I'm probably getting 25% sag with 300 pounds in here. So that kind of sucks. Did I cover the weight of this bike? On this bike, I have put on a Garmin handlebar mount. I have a Mud Max fender on here. I have a specialized pump, specialized water bottle cage. My Shimano XT pedals. Also, the bike shop recommended I get these little rubber crank arm protectors that go on. They slide on and then you screw your pedal in. And my Shimano XT pedals and my Physique saddle. The tires are set up with stands, and the whole bike weighs 27 pounds. I have the original tires on here. I don't have studded tires, so I probably won't be riding this bike till the conditions change, so I won't really be able to review it. But based on how the aluminum version felt, I think this is going to be fine as long as I can get enough air in this shock or lose weight, which is what I definitely need to do. I think the bike will be awesome for most people. For lighter people, you won't have a problem. For heavier people, you might need to get this shock replaced. Everybody might need to have the shifting changed if you get a version that has the cassette that has the issue that I had. This Fox lever is much easier to change from locked out to not locked out and in between. The RockShox knob right here is indexed several more times, and I'm not finding it as easy to turn. I like the Maestro suspension a lot for how it performs, but it picks up a ton of leaves, and I was just rolling my bike into the garage and I got a bunch of leaves on the floor, and one of these little nubs picked up a leaf and deposited it right where all the leaves go, right there. This catches so many leaves it's not even funny. It's really annoying because I hate having that sound of the leaves stuck in there. That's another thing. Water, after you wash your bike, accumulates in this little well that doesn't drain out of the bottom of your shock area. Those are the only two minor things that bug me with that suspension, besides having to reach way the hell down to unlock this. But the suspension works well enough that I don't think I'm going to be locking it out much at all. So you might wonder if I'm a little upset because I'm having these issues with these bikes, but I'm not. This is the exact kind of bike I wanted. A little more than a cross-country race bike, still light and agile and quick, and these bikes really are going to be that once I get them dialed in. And fortunately, I bought these from Berkshire Bike and Board in Pittsfield, Mass., which has been an outstanding shop. They bend over backwards to address any issues I've had on any bike I've had, and I just can't say enough good things about them. I hope this helps somebody. Thanks for watching.